Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our wonderful Guru Parampara. Thank you all so much for joining the call today. We have His Holiness Chandramauli Swami, and all of you are humbly requested to be present in the call and be attentive so that you can ask questions and gain the most from Guru Maharaj's mercy. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Over to you, Guru Maharaj.
There you go. You don't refer to me as Guru Maharaj on these calls. I told you that so many times. I'm just Chandramauli Swami, that's all. This is not a guru program. This is a philosophy, and there's people who are not disciples. I've been saying that so many times. Don't refer to me as Guru Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj. I will remember.
Yeah, and then the first thing you do is you welcome all the devotees. That's the most important thing. After you welcome the devotees, then you announce the program, and then you can mention my name. I'm here.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, I will remember.
Get the protocol down properly. Yeah.
Yes, Guru. Yes, Maharaj.
Okay. The most important thing is to welcome the devotees. That's the most important thing.
Dear devotees, welcome one and all to Maharaj's call. Thank you all very much for your patience.
Why are you getting sentimental? What is this? Thank you for your patience. Just welcome them.
Oh, yes, Guru Maharaj. Welcome, everybody.
Okay, so class is going to be a little shorter because I have another class coming up very soon. And I have to get to that class, which is a group of 500 young men who are coming to hear a lecture. So we should begin right now. Go to the 12th canto. I believe it's the second chapter, Symptoms of the Age of Color. 12th canto.
Second chapter.
I believe Symptoms of the Age of Color. That's the name of the chapter.
12th canto, second chapter. Yes, Maharaj.
Go to the verse first. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sri Sukha Uvacha. Taschanudina Dhamam Satya Saucham Shamandaya. Alena Balina Rajan. Nakshwa Tyagyur. Palam Smitaha. Translation. Sukadeva Goswami said, then, O king, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. Purport. During the present age, Kali-yuga, practically all desirable qualities will gradually diminish, as described in this verse. For example, dharma, which indicates the respect for higher authority, that leads one to obey religious principles, will diminish. In the Western world, theologians have been unable to specifically, scientifically present the laws of God, or indeed God himself, and thus in Western intellectual history, a rigid dichotomy has risen between theology and science. In an attempt to resolve this conflict, some theologians have agreed to modify their doctrine so they can conform not only to proven scientific facts, but even to pseudo-scientific speculations and hypotheses, which, though unproven, are hypercritically included within the realm of science. On the other hand, some fanatical theologians disregard the scientific methods altogether and insist on the veracity of their antiquated sectarian dogma. Thus, bereft of scientific Vedic theology, material science has moved into the destructive realm of gross materialism, while speculative Western philosophy has drifted into the superficiality of relativistic ethics and inconclusive linguistic analysis. With so many of the best Western minds dedicated to material analysis, naturally much of Western religious life, separated from the intellectual mainstream, is dominated by irrational fanaticism and unauthorized mystics and mystic cults. People have become so ignorant of the science of God that they also lump the Krishna conscious movement in with this odd assortment of fanciful attempts at theology and religion. Thus, Dharma, true religion, which is strict and conscious behavior to the laws of God, is diminished and Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Salakaya Chaksun Mritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. Nama Om, keep up the thing on. Don't go back. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Vimakti Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachari Name Sasunyavani Astyakya Sutani Vanchakopa Purusha Rupa Sindhu Deva Chapatitanam Pavana Jo Vaishnava Jo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasa Gaur Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, Dharma. And so one of the main destructive elements that is coming by the age of Kali. Kali means the age of hypocrisy and the quarrel. Kali means the age of all good qualities diminishing and substitute material qualities from the modes of passion and ignorance are becoming accepted as the foundation by which people should live their lives. It's a very difficult age. It's a very degraded age. The atmosphere is polluted with sinful activity and destructive programs for all aspects of life that diminish the quality of life. And as Kali-yuga progresses, as time goes on, these destructive and inhuman qualities will start to become more and more acceptable within the society. And gradually, all morality, civility, aesthetic values, spiritual principles even religious principles will be lost. Very dark age. This chapter is gives a very clear understanding of the diminishing. As you would read, as we go on in this chapter, you'll see the things that it's mentioning are already happening in Kali-yuga, although we're only 5,100 years into the age of Kali. But age of Kali could not come in when Krishna was on the planet. And as soon as Krishna departed from the planet, then the religion raced in immediately with the first example that's mentioned in the first canto, with the personality of Kali coming and beating the legs of a cow and a bull, which are the legs of Dharma and religious principles. So here in this first section, we get in a little bit of understanding of how Dharma is now being explained. Persons who are religious leaders either rigidly follow their textbooks without understanding the practical value of what they're saying. They cannot apply. They say that the animals have no soul. Therefore, you can kill the animals. And so what is the rationale? There's no rationale, because they don't know what is the symptoms of the soul. And therefore, because they think a soul is only for the human form of life and not otherwise, they relegate animals, to being simply a material body. And even if they understand a little bit about the soul, they don't know what is the nature of the soul, the activities of the soul, the qualities of the soul. A lot of the scriptures that come up in Kali-yuga are fraught with so many mistakes and so many speculations. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was discussing with Chandkasi, the different the scriptures, Islam and the scriptures and other traditions, Lord made this point that a lot of these scriptures are created in time by men who are imperfect, and therefore there are so many imperfections that have been applied to these scriptures. And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, you see in his presentation of Krishna consciousness, quoted scripture very strongly, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and illustrated the points that he quoted by giving practical and philosophical support to those statements, and showing how these scriptures are actually coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead itself. Nothing has been changed. Prabhupada was like a lion when anyone tried to present the philosophy in a way that was outside of the actual acceptability. Just to make it clear that we have a standard by which everything is understood. And that standard is there in the words of Krishna and the words of Krishna's pure devotees, pure acharyas. And therefore, the Vedic scriptures, although they have been tampered with to some degree, have not been drastically changed. Sometimes they try to, they can't really tamper with the Vedic scriptures much. But what they do is they try to relegate the Vedic scriptures to a lesser position. For instance, they say that the Vedas are only 1,000 so many years old, and they were put together by a person called Gopadev. And so they come up with these alternate ideas. We have also our incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is mentioned in the third canto, Kapila Dev. But there's another Kapila Dev who appeared who was an atheist. So they accept his theories on Sankhya philosophy as being the foundation by which that knowledge is given. So this is Kali-yuga, where in the Bhagavad Gita, it says religion will be seen as irreligion, and irreligion will be taking the position of real religion. This is the nature of Kali-yuga. Therefore, you'll see there are so many offshoots of different religious systems. Even in the Vedic culture, they take part of the Vedas and extract different parts and put it all together into a new religious system. So all of this is being done in the name of, therefore one has to follow in the footsteps of the great authorities. So according to Shastra, there are 4 sampradayas which are authorized principles of teaching and practicing bhakti yoga. And those 4 sampradayas are the Brahma Gaudiya Marga Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Sri Sampradaya, and the Kumara Sampradaya. Each of those sampradayas have a particular sampradaya acharya who has established the principles of that acharya. But outside of that, or within that context, there are acharyas who are considered to be mahajans. Mahajans means either great personalities who know and teach the principles of religion. Brahma, Narada, Shiva, Kumara, the Kapila Dev, Prahlad, Janakarish, Sukadev Goswami, Bhishma Dev, Yamaraj. These are called Mahan. So the principle is Mahajan, Mahajano Yena Katasapanta. The real religious principles are given by these 12 Mahajans. And outside of these Mahajans, there's no teachings because these teachers are based on these 4 sampradayas. So we were just reading this morning how if someone has taken initiation or mantra outside of these 4 sampradayas, that mantra and initiation is useless. You can't get anyone anywhere. And you might be chanting some mantra given by some so-called guru who creates a particular society and calls himself an incarnation of God or whatever. And then he gives mantras. He has some mystic power, so he can enchant people's mind. And these sampradayas, these asampradayas are very strong in Kali-yuga because that's the nature of Kali-yuga. Now, as we mentioned, what is religion is irreligion, what is irreligion is religion. And so these sampradayas, they flourish. But we have the standard that everything is based on these 4 sampradayas. So we are in the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. Our sampradaya includes Madhvacharya's teachings and the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which are the real foundation for all of the activities in devotion and service. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the whole formula of Krishna consciousness. And if we follow that carefully, and those teachings are given by Srila Rupa Goswami, which is printed in the book called Nectar of Devotion, which is the handbook by which one can execute correctly the process of Krishna consciousness, like that. So as long as we adhere to these principles given by our acharyas and not go outside into other areas of speculation to see what else is there that we apparently were thinking we're missing, which is not really understandable, because in these 4 sampradayas, or even in our own sampradaya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us Krishna in Vrindavan, which is the highest manifestation of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you see here in the whole world, especially Western world, is full of speculation. And the Eastern world is taking the truthful principles of spiritual life and twisting it around and adding material ideas in order to satisfy a certain class of people who want material gains through spiritual practice. But this will go on, and then it'll fall apart, and then someone else will do it, and then it'll fall apart again. So this is Kali-yuga. And Kali-yuga is fraught with these types of bogus programs. And even the authorized religious systems outside of Vaishnavism, because, as it's mentioned here, they're trying to align themselves with some of the scientific theories that are coming up, when many of these scientific theories are simply based on speculation. But because they have become prominent in the world, many of the religious people who are leaders in certain areas of the world think that religion needs this scientific understanding, or else people will not be able to practice or understand even. But science is something that is created recently. Real religious principles have been there since the beginning of time. And Krishna is the author of religious principles. As he says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvashijaham Vridhisana Visto, Mata Smrita Jnana Apohanam Cha, Vedaisa Charvam Aham Eva Vedyo, Vedanta Kut Vedavit, Eva Chaham. I am the compiler of Vedic knowledge. I am the knower of Vedic knowledge. And Vedic knowledge is meant to know me. So Krishna himself gives the statement that he is the author of religion, and he is the goal of that same religious process by which he is given. And that becomes very clear in the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, and also in this specifically, especially in the discussion between Krishna and Uddhava in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In both cases, Lord establishes the different levels of spiritual practice, and it culminates ultimately with pure bhakti yoga. And that principle of pure bhakti is the way to know him in devotion. So everything is there in our Vedic scriptures. We don't need to go outside for anything, because you'll find that there's so much speculation, so much wrong ideas, so much reinterpretation of the real teachings in a twisted way, and trying to somehow satisfy the secular society by adding many material principles into religion as part of the practice. So in this age, it says here that real religion is gradually diminished. But if we keep Srila Prabhupada's presentation, which is the presentation given to us by the previous acharyas, then we will always be in a good position to understand what is truth, and how to explain that truth, and how to practice that in our own Krishna conscious life. So we'll just mention this one principle today, that is the deterioration of true Dharma. Dharma means that which is unchangeable. So, of course, the word Dharma has been used in a loose way, but the real definition, or the complete definition, is Sanatana Dharma, eternal religious principles. And these are eternal because they're not changeable, and they apply to all people in all places at all times. And if we very carefully read and study Srila Prabhupada's books, we will never be, we say, diverted away from the essence of spiritual practice. Hare Krishna.
Very, very sobering class, Maharaj, and pointing out to us that dharma is eternal, religious principles are eternal, and they're subverted in this age by this pseudoscientific hypothesizing and speculation. So we must guard against this. Thank you for pointing out all these different points about the influence of Kali, and that reading Srila Prabhupada's books will actually protect us. So dear devotees on the call, please feel free to share your thoughts, your realizations, maybe your experiences. And if any questions have come up for you, feel free to ask. You can kindly come on by putting on your video camera so we can see you, and you can raise your hand. And if you'd prefer to write something, that would be all right too. I can read it out to Maharaj, and we can have a nice discussion. Thank you. So Maharaj, as people are still thinking up or mulling over what was spoken, may I humbly request to know that even in spite of being devotees and even in spite of practicing Krishna consciousness, the influence of Kali will still be there on us, but it will be mitigated or reduced in a large measure, or we can completely overcome the effects.
It's up to the individual.
Would you please elaborate a little bit on that? When you say it's up to the individual, what exactly does that mean?
If you weaken your Krishna consciousness, you'll be influenced by these things. Therefore, you really have a clear understanding of the practice and the philosophy, and then you will not be influenced or changed or moved by these things.
Okay. Yes, very much. I got that. Thank you. Anyone else would like to ask any questions? This is such a relevant topic for us as we all grapple with the effects of Kali-yuga in our day-to-day lives, which are becoming even more difficult day by day, actually, given the vitiated atmosphere and all the changes that Kali-yuga is bringing on us. So feel free to ask any question.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, thank you for the class, Maharaj. Yeah, I just want to say that how many times we listen to this class or the effects of Kali Yuga, we still think that everything is fine around us, and we don't take it, I don't take it seriously. How to come up into that stage? But suppose if I fear too much, like, if I show concern too much, that will be really annoying to other people, like why we are like this, always looking bad in things. But the thing is, we have to be aware of what's happening and how bad it is in our surroundings in this age. So it's like a conflict always, Guru Maharaj.
Prabhupada would explain, he said, before you can understand what is correct, you have to understand what is incorrect. That's why when he first started to publicize his Back to God magazine, he said, what do you say? Truth is light, nescience is darkness. And Krishna is light, nescience is darkness. So you'll find throughout scripture, they're very thorough in exposing what is not acceptable for practice of spiritual life, what is against the philosophy, what is against the principles. if you don't know these things, you'll be easily led into it and think it's just one of many things that we can accept.
We can start now. Last, we can start plan at 6:20.
I'll be there. I'm leaving at 6:15 here. Yeah. And you'll see, if you listen to Prabhupada, I'm sure you do.
Mm.
It's always telling us what it's not.
Yes.
Because, it's so easy to become fooled. Just like they said they went to the moon. But Prabhupada said they didn't go to the moon. If they went anywhere, they went to a dark planet. The moon is not a dark planet. They went to Rahu. But ultimately it was exposed that they went to the Arizona desert. And so millions of people were believing, even still today, that they went to the moon. And then, in some places they say Krishna was a tribal chief. Krishna is and Balaram is a black hair and a white hair. This is another interpretation. But Prabhupada mentions 7,998 times that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the Supreme and he is a person. And he is the source of everything. He is the absolute truth, personified. So in presenting truth, you have to also uproot untruth.
Mm.
Because if you don't, well, you may, in your personal dilemma, as you describe it, all you have to do is present what is truth. And then, based on the response, then you can expose untruth.
Okay.
Well, just like we say, we follow 4 relative principles. Sometimes people want to reinterpret those 4 principles in a way that is not actually the standard.
Yeah.
So if you speak the truth pleasingly, intelligent people will understand. But because it's the age of Kali, a lot of people are not intelligent. And therefore, they'll never understand or always find some reason to criticize. You can't pander to everyone's wrong ideas in order to somehow or other make them feel like, or you just present in a very straight and pleasing way what is truth. Okay.
Yes.
But you have to practice that. So as you practice, you learn.
Mm.
And as you learn, you start to develop. And as you develop, then you become better and better in presenting. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Mm.
Okay. Just try to learn from your mistakes. But you'll find some people don't want to know. So those people don't worry about it. Don't even bother with them.
Mm.
But people who do want to know.
Is that all right, Srimati?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Guru Maharaj. Yeah, I'm taking every opportunity to practice this, how to present nicely. Thank you so much with all your blessings. Yeah, thank you very much.
Namrata?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, glories to your holy feet, all glories to the assembled devotees. Guru Maharaj, you mentioned in your travel book that Hindu culture is in attack, and unless one is Krishna conscious, simply being a Hindu is not enough. So, can you elaborate on this sentence, Guru Maharaj?
Did I say anything about Hindu in my talk tonight? I don't remember.
I mean, I was a little thinking when you mentioned about Kali-yuga and then effects of Kali-yuga and a lot of other sampradayas coming up, other the many other what is the asampradayas coming up. So I was just thinking over this because Hindu, they all consider themselves in the section, I mean, category of Hinduism. So that's why I was just thinking.
Hinduism is a misnomer. The word Hindu is nowhere in any religious scripture. It's a word given by the Islamic culture, people who are living on the other side of the Sindhu River. And because they couldn't pronounce the S, it came out as H. They were referring to people on the other side of the Sindhu River as Hindus. And somehow that stuck because the ruling power at that time was Islam. But we are not Hindus, we are Vaishnavas. What is Hinduism anyway? It's a potpourri of everything that's thrown together. Nobody can even explain what a Hindu is and what is Hindu culture. You can say Vedic culture, you can say Indian culture. But Hindu is just doesn't fit in anywhere. There's a whole discussion and a book. There's also books written, or statements written about this. So we don't see ourselves as. Sometimes we refer to ourselves in the secular realm as Hindu because people don't understand. So just to give us a little classification and connection with India, we do that sometimes. But that's just to move things along. We're not Hindus, we are Vaishnavas. We are worshippers of Vishnu, Krishna. That's the word Vaishnava comes from the word Vishnu.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj. So I was just thinking that way, that since time immemorial, we are following the Vedas, which is given by Krishna himself, and the lineages are coming out of them. So I was also wondering, how does this word came up, Hindu? So I think thank you for what you clarified right now. That makes sense. Thank you very much.
We have a pamphlet which is about 30 pages long describing this point. We are not Hindus.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you, Namrata. We have so many devotees on the call. Today I see Dharma Vatsal Prabhu also. Dharma Vatsal Prabhu. And Arati, Dhanvantri, Brajavilasini, Raghu. I don't know who is iPad. Swaha, Samidatri. Please go ahead, Dhanvantri Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Chandramauli Maharaj. Yesterday, I informed you that I'm writing some comments on Facebook. So yesterday and today I came on some other comments on Facebook that were insulting some devotees that I know from some long time ago. So I couldn't stand that. So I fight back with words. And can you tell some few words about this?
I don't understand your few words about what, fighting back, you mean?
Actually, I came, there was a short video from 1 second.
No, you don't have to,
Satina.
you don't have to get into the details. We don't want to get into
Okay. There was some insulting going on, some devotees. So I didn't like that.
Yeah, so you just respond and then leave it alone. Or sometimes you just leave it alone. People will, I get attacked sometimes and I don't respond because as soon as you respond, they come back with a bigger attack. That's the way it is, Kali-yuga. There are people who like to find fault and just they want you to respond so they can increase their arguments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So insulting and finding fault with Vaishnavas is a maha offense. It's an offense. So they will suffer from that. You don't have to do anything. They'll get a reaction from that. So if you can defeat them, that's good. But a lot of times they're not defeatable. They just like to argue. It depends on them. So if you can clarify things and they accept it, that's the best. Yeah. So continue, and respond to their criticism, but be wary of the fact that they might take anything you say and take it and twist it around and use it for another argument against you. But if they're a little bit
Yes.
sensitive, then they'll accept what you say.
Yeah.
Prabhupada was a fighter. He didn't just accept things.
At the first point, I wanted to advise them, actually show them that they're wrong, that it's not good to offend the other Vaishnavas. But they start to attack me. But then when they see that I didn't give up, that I didn't give up, then they understand in some way they lose. Yeah.
Good. You did good. Keep going.
Dhanvantri, the martial art person.
There were two ladies and one man. And that man, he was hiding himself behind the initiated name. So then on the end, I asked him, why are you using this name? Because you're not worthy of that. So then he replied me, what name should I use? And then he wrote Halava Ananda Das. And then I write him back, yes, it's very nice name. You should use it.
Okay. Good. That's probably all that's probably the extent of his Krishna consciousness. Okay, I have a fish program sitting a few 100 feet away from where I am now. So I have to go to it. It's huge. 500 people are waiting for me. So I better go. So thank you very much. We'll see you all tomorrow, same time, and we'll continue with this first verse again. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Wish we could join all the 500 people and continue the class.
Thank you.
Okay, dear devotees, thank you all very much for tolerating me. I'll try to do better next time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.